Despite the fact that we have had literally months of never-ending protests all across the country that have been trying to draw attention to the mistreatment of black and brown individuals by the police, that has not seemingly stopped that sort of behavior from continuing. I want to show you a bit of footage. It is extremely disturbing. It shows a family in Aurora that has been pulled out of their vehicle because of a apparent belief that hadn't even been checked that the vehicle was stolen, and this is how the family was treated.
Hey, bud, if you're not involved, please step back to me. I just appreciate
So, look, there's extended video online, but the family is laid out on a parking lot, like, just on the pavement, crying. Family, including young kids.
It hurts me to watch, John. I tear up when I watch that video. To hear the agony and the pain in their voices and their children. This is traumatizing for life, not only for this family, but for any of us watching it. To say that we don't have institutional, systemic racism, that there isn't bias by the police, that police brutality against Black people is not real. I mean, look, show me one white family that this has happened to, please. I'll wait, because a baby was on the asphalt. Children were handcuffed. For what? The story is that this woman had reported her car stolen like months before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cleared up within days. And then months later, they have her whole family traumatizing them. And the cops realized, it reminded me of like times of slavery, the insensitivity and just treating them like they're nobody, like they're not humans. This is horrific to watch. It really upset me when I saw this last night.
Yeah, it does. I mean, sometimes don't you just want to sit down with an individual police officer and ask, what did you think the kid was gonna do if you just let the kid stand there while you handcuffed everybody? Like, did you think the kid was going to grab your gun and kill all the cops? Did you think the kid was going to overpower
she was
you?
6.
It's children. It's a 6-year-old girl.
6.
6-year-old girl needs to be on the ground. They're trained, and they think, well, I guess they're trained to think that 6-year-old needs to be handcuffed and on the ground.
They're afraid of Black people. They're afraid of Black people. And I don't care what color the cop is. They're afraid of Black people because they're being trained to be afraid of Black people.
Yeah.
Not just by the police department, which is, and it's nationwide. It goes back to us being a nation based on white supremacy.
Yeah.
So it just feels right to be afraid. And when you're trained and brainwashed as a cop to be following blindly orders, you have to have some sort of moral backbone and say, we're not going to do it like this. And I would automatically call someone that's ahead of this guy in charge who's making these decisions to lay this family on the asphalt. It is the summer on top of it.
Yeah.
Face down on asphalt. We all remember from elementary school how hot that is because we used to sit our butts on it all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's inhumane.
And as you alluded to, in terms of the situation, so they're in a parking lot. They're approached by the cops. The cops think that the car is stolen, mistakenly, which we'll get to. They take all the people. They don't just say, hey, could you just hold a second? We need to run this or something. They immediately force them all to the ground. Okay, they tell her their car's stolen. She says that it had been stolen in February, but it was cleared up. She tells them that and says, I will show you the vehicle registration and insurance paperwork. That's not good enough for them. So they make her way on the ground. Her attorney emphasized to CNN that the vehicle was stolen in February. It was returned to her the next day by the Aurora police. They already, that department returned the car and then apparently decided, maybe in a couple months we'll stop her again and throw her on the ground. And maybe your kids too. The treatment, both in terms of the callous individual treatment on the day, but the lack of care about the inconvenience and all that, doing this in public, making the kid, I've never had that happen to me. Imagine as a 6-year-old being forced to do that.
But Black and brown people have it happen to them every single day.
Exactly. And
and it should be illegal to handcuff children. And the other, it was a woman and her it was like two nieces or something. One was 16, one was 17, underage minors. It should be illegal to handcuff them.
Yeah.
If they identify themselves as minors, then they should have just set them aside. What were they going to do? It just makes no sense. All of these people need to be removed from duty. They are dangerous menaces to society. They need to not be wearing a badge. They are not peace officers. They are terrorists. What they did is terrorism. They terrorized this family and all of us who had to watch that and endure that, to hear the wailing and the crying. I mean, I get goosebumps even just thinking about it again. It is horrific.
And like, it's horrific that you could ever have just done what we saw, but that so many cops and individuals could go through all of this year, not just, but it should be enough, not just the protests, constantly calling attention to this sort of bias and mistreatment and brutality and murder is happening, and constantly reminding people that that's what's been going on, but also the pandemic, where we're all scared for our lives, we're supposed to be pulling together, that you could get through all of that and still be cruel and brutal to people, whether you're a cop or an individual, that none of that has had any effect.
Here's what doesn't add up. They took Dylan Roof to Burger King.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up, John. What's happening? How does that make sense and this makes sense? How? That guy murdered people, assassinated people. These guys, maybe that woman stole a car, maybe. First of all, she has a car full of children.
Mm-hmm.
That is not how to handle it. Let her show you the paperwork.
Exactly.
Take it from there. Obviously, they don't do their job, because maybe in the record, they should have done their paperwork and shown that their car was returned and the matter was resolved. So somebody effed up. And who paid for it? A 6-year-old baby girl with her face in the asphalt. Well, she now feels like that is how this government treats her, this city treats her, the police treat her. She will forever be marked. And they want us to celebrate blue lives and protect blue lives. You're not protecting the very people you are charged to protect. You're terrorizing them. Are there cops that are out there saving lives and doing this? Of course. But we don't need to qualify that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
That's like getting a D- and putting it on the fridge again. Oh, well, we saved a cat. Okay, well, guess what? You're really hurting people. You murdered Breonna Taylor. You put this little baby down in the dirt. It's just, we need to just stop. This is why defund the police. This is why abolish the police is a rallying cry. It doesn't mean we don't need some sort of peace officers and someone to help enforce laws, et cetera, et cetera. But the system that we have set up that was based for slave patrol has turned into this, and it needs to be eradicated. We need to start from scratch.
I agree. Total reboot. Questioning all of the training, the organization, everything, the way the union protects them.
The uniforms, everything. Get rid of everything.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.